So the Las Vegas Raiders have officially begun OTAs, and today was the first day that the Las Vegas Raiders media was actually allowed inside the building, and we got a lot of updates that are coming out, including that the Las Vegas Raiders defense scored multiple picks. I shouldn't say scored multiple picks, but they got multiple picks, and apparently one of them could have been a score for the defense. Apparently it was a pick six by one of the Raiders' young linebackers, and I'm excited to get into this, right? Plus, we got some updates that have obviously come out. There's a lot of clips. There's a lot of things I want to kind of talk about. But I will keep it as short and as concise as possible where we're not kind of just going all over the place. But let's get right into it, man. So the Raiders defense had 4 total interceptions in today's practice. And some people are going to say that's terrible by the offense, but I'll take the other approach as a positive sign by the Las Vegas Raiders defense, right? It means they have guys that are potentially recognizing their keys and potentially making some plays on the football. And the first interception literally came on the first play of 11 on 11 drills. Tashawn Reed describes it like this. He says during the first play of 11 on 11 drills, safety Jeremy Chinn picked off quarterback Geno Smith on a pass over the middle of the field. So there you guys have it, right? So the Las Vegas Raiders, newest addition, Jeremy Chinn, obviously read a play, intercepted it, and to me, that's a positive thing. That's something you want to see from the Las Vegas Raiders, especially from guys in that secondary. You know, we know that the secondary's changed up, right? Trayvon Merrick's second-round pick was a guy that the Raiders took really, really high in the draft. He ends up leaving, and now you're replacing him with a guy like Jeremy Chinn. And the fact that on the first play of 11 on 11s, this guy's getting an interception is a really, really, really positive sign. And I know some people are going to say, hey, Geno Smith throwing an interception, like, are you concerned at all that this guy's throwing an interception? And I'll be the first to tell you guys, it is practice. So the thought process for a quarterback in practice is going to be a lot different. Geno Smith, you know, in a real game, if it's 3rd and 7, you know, he can take the sack and you can punt the football. And that's what he would do, right? Geno Smith takes a sack. He's not going to throw up a 50-50 pass, but in OTAs, what do you really have to lose, right? Throw up a 50-50 pass. Maybe Brock Bowers comes down with it. Maybe he doesn't. Either way, it's practice, so it doesn't really matter. And at the end of the day, that's how Brock Bowers would get better at that jump back technique or going up and snatching those 50-50 passes is by opportunities, essentially, right? And with that, I also feel like being in OTAs, being in practice, it really doesn't matter. Also, don't overlook the fact that you're installing a brand new offense. Geno Smith does not know how Chip Kelly's going to run the offense. The receivers don't 100% know. Now, obviously, they're learning, right, day by day. You know, the routes, how depth, you know, the depth of the routes, where an in-breaking route needs to happen. You know, you're playing a defense, how to attack that defense. These are learning things, essentially, right? So, for Geno Smith to throw 1 interception on the first play of the game, really not a big deal in my opinion. It's just practice. But he did throw 2 other interceptions as well. So this actually came against the second team unit. It was the young linebacker Tommy Eichenberg, 2nd-year linebacker, who ended up intercepting Geno Smith. So Geno Smith was trying to hit tight end Brock Bowers on a route into the flats, and he was picked off by linebacker Tommy Eichenberg. Nice play by the 2nd-year linebacker. Someone else also put it out there that this guy would have essentially ran it back for a touchdown. That was the type of play this was. So Tommy Eichenberg jumps a flat route. He picks it off. He takes it the distance. This is a really, really, really good thing you want to see from specifically Tommy Eichenberg. You know, we've drafted so many late round linebackers over the last 10 years. None of them have ever worked out, right? When teams like the Niners were drafting Fred Warner and you know, you got teams like the Seahawks drafting linebackers late, right under Pete Carroll. It's nice to see that the Raiders can actually draft some linebackers late under Patrick Graham and potentially have those guys develop. We'll see what Tommy Eichenberg can do as the season kind of continues here. But this is a really, really good sign. Now, keep in mind, this was the 2nd team unit that had came in on the defensive side. And the Raiders' 1st team offense was still kind of out there when the 2nd team defense came in. Also, do kind of know, you know, we don't know if this was the Raiders' actual offense or if this was a defensive drill type thing, right? Where the defense is trying to do certain things. And that's one of the things that, you know, unless you're actually at practice and you're observing, you know, you don't really know. And I think sometimes one of the things that happens is reporters, even at practice, don't actually know what's really happening out there. You know, sometimes it could be something like, hey, Patrick Graham is saying, hey, we're gonna we're going to jump certain routes, right? Or we're going to practice jumping certain concepts. And, Brock Bowers could have been running a route in which, Geno Smith was throwing, but it was the defense kind of dictating, hey, this is what we need you to do, essentially, right? I hope that makes sense. So we don't really know, right? We don't know the context of some of these plays. But I still like the fact that Tommy Eichenberg is obviously intercepting some passes. The third one, and keep in mind, this is still the second team defense. This was the third and final interception. This time, it was the other draft, late round draft pick that we had last year, right? Second round pick again. Our second year guy once again in Chris Smith. Sean Reed says, and now Chris Smith, the second, picks off Geno Smith. So that's 2 interceptions against the second team defense. So there's another one right there. And again, I wish we had a little bit more context. But there you guys have it. Geno Smith essentially threw multiple interceptions in practice. And then Aiden O'Connell threw an interception as well. And it was safety Lonnie Johnson that ended up getting that interception. One of the things that I'm noticing with some of these interceptions is the fact that there are 4 guys that really didn't play a whole lot for the Raiders last year. Right? Tommy Eichenberg didn't really play. Lonnie Johnson wasn't even here, nor was Jeremy Chin. So these are guys that did not play for the Raiders last year. And then, of course, you got the other guy in Chris Smith, right? So Chris Smith, Tommy Eichenberg are getting interceptions. That's positive. Hopefully some of that can carry into that second year, and these guys take like that second year leap. And then same thing with a guy like Lonnie Johnson and Jeremy Chin, who obviously didn't play for the Raiders last year either. Hopefully these guys actually have some interceptions as the season kind of comes along. Again, not a big deal. Did want to just share that with you guys. A couple of interceptions by some of the guys on defense. Pete Carroll did also mention that today he felt like the Raiders defense obviously won the day. It wasn't by a whole lot. Some of the other reporters kind of said that as well. I didn't get to talk to my guy that is at the Raiders practice. I reached out, they never heard back. So I'm sure at some point he'll reach back out to me, but I don't have full context on some of these things, right? Usually I reach out to him and I'll speak to him specifically. But let's switch focus, man. So there's a couple other videos that are kind of coming out. This one's interesting because the Raiders are practicing hitting the bag. But the interesting part of this is you get some guys that are lined up as essentially the left guard and other guys lined up as the right guard, right? Left guard, left tackle, right guard, right tackle, right? And you could pretty much tell right away, right? Just kind of backing this video up. You can tell based off the stance that these guys are in, right? You can see the stance that this guy's in right here. His right foot is back, which means this guy's practicing the right guard position. You can see over here, right foot is back, right hand is down. He is practicing the position that a guy on the right side of the offensive line would essentially be practicing, right? So it also kind of adds up the guys that are kind of out there. Colt Miller comes up next. He's going to put his left foot back because he is a left tackle. You can see that right there. He's going to end up getting out of there. And then you will also see right after Colt Miller, big number 66. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. Dylan Parham looks freaking huge in this video to me. And I might be just, might be the camera angle or whatever. But notice Dylan Parham's also putting that left hand on the ground. Right? Again, we talked about this already, so this should technically not be a surprise. But he is putting the left hand into the ground, which once again is telling me this guy is practicing that left guard position. So again, not really surprising because that is kind of what we expect of Dylan Parham this year. But it does kind of just confirm that that is the position he'll end up playing. You see some of the other guys over here as well. Number 65. You see his name is Jackson Powers Johnson, number 58. He's going to snap the ball with this right hand because he is a right-handed center. DJ Glaze going to go up there, show that that stance to be a right tackle essentially as well. So you guys see that, right? You guys see some of those guys that are kind of out there. Again, you can take away a lot from these videos if you guys know what you're looking for. And it does suck that, it sucks that the Raiders aren't in Oakland anymore, right? If they were in Oakland, I'd be at some of these things, right? But obviously them being in Vegas, I'm in Northern California, I could not consistently make it to Raiders practice. But I do think that there's so much you can get from some of these drills. You can figure out where guys are lining up. You can also figure out the type of offense a team is going to run, some of the plays that they're going to run, right? If it's outside zone, inside zone, angles, those type of things. Like, you can actually see that stuff during practice. And it is one of the things that I wish I was able to get to practice a little bit more for. But there you guys have it, some of the offensive line stuff. There's other videos that are also kind of coming out. So Geno Smith and Raiders pass catchers gaining chemistry, connecting on everything from deep balls to intermediate passes here at OTAs. I did read a lot of the different beat reporters and some of the things that they're kind of saying. And some guys are putting it out there that the Raiders actually, they had a lot of success in the 11-on-11s on offense. And we'll get into some of those updates here in a second. But this is some of what you want to see. You know, you want to see the Raiders have success. You want to see the Raiders being able to connect on some of these deep routes. And we can even just look at some of these different concepts here. So let me just back this up really quickly here. You can actually see that the quarterback here, I believe, quarterback's going to be in shotgun. He's going to take a shotgun snap. I believe that's Dylan Labe's in the backfield. Labe's actually going to run a route out of the backfield. So he's going to essentially run a flat route, and then you're going to get the tight end here to run what looks like a 10-yard out. And then you're going to get Trey Tucker playing the outside, running a deep route. So Trey Tucker is going to be the influence guy. He's essentially clearing it out. This is going to be a 1-2 read. Trey Tucker is almost never going to get the pass. This is either going to go to Michael Mayer, the tight end, or it's going to go to the running back. Play is 100% designed for those two guys. It will almost never, ever go to Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker is only running his route to basically clear it out. Another part of Trey Tucker's route is he has to take an outside release, right? And the reason why he goes outside the way he does here is because if he goes outside, the cornerback has to turn looking away from the quarterback, right? Assuming Trey Tucker goes outside. If Trey Tucker goes inside, the corner can release to the inside, and he could potentially see a running back coming out on the flats. He could potentially see the tight end coming out towards him as well. So little things like that matter, right? It's very, very important. You'll see on this one, Smith hits Michael Mayer. It's a pretty nice route by Mayer. Mayer definitely looks a lot more fitter, in my opinion, right? He definitely looks a lot better. Let's see if he can actually, let's see if he can actually make an impact this year. You got, I believe that's Brock Bowers. Same exact route concept. You guys see once again. Pretty interesting drills, right? Obviously, they're just kind of practicing some of the different routes. And I should also put this out there. These route combinations, like, you know, when a team's practicing, one guy going into the flats, one guy's 10-yard out. That's going to be called something. It might be called, like, yellow forward or something, right? That might be the route combination, and that's going to be the route combination 100% of the time. And on top of that, they might say, hey, we're going to run dragon, yellow forward. Dragon's going to be on the left, yellow forward's going to be on the right, and it's going to be these route combinations that are going to be paired, right? Oftentimes, it's like a 1-2 read, and then that fifth guy, right, depending on what the route combinations are, will end up being like that influence guy, right? So yeah, I hope that makes sense, but let's get into the next one here. Jesse Merrick said it's just OTAs, but Geno Smith's deep ball looks good. To me, that's something I want to hear. One of the things with Geno Smith is the guy's not like the most accurate quarterback in the NFL in terms of ball placement. I'm not talking about like stats. I'm talking about actual ball placement, actual tape, right? Like, he's not the most accurate quarterback. But the one thing Geno Smith does have is he has a really, really, really nice deep pass. Like 25 plus yards. This guy's very, 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 really good velocity, puts the ball exactly kind of where it needs to go. And there was even a report, here's one from Levi Edwards. Geno Smith has been on a heater the last few reps. He completed a jump ball to Michael Mayer and then a deep touchdown to Trey Tucker. The deep touchdown to Trey Tucker, someone else put it out there that it was a 50-plus yard pass. So this guy's throwing a 50-yard pass down the field to Trey Tucker. That's something that I could get used to. Remember, the Raiders drafted Dante Thornton Jr., right? And when they brought this guy in, they brought him in because they feel like, hey, we have Trey Tucker right now, but maybe we want to go a different route. Maybe we don't want to extend a guy like Trey Tucker, right? He's in year 3. He has one more year left. Maybe we don't believe he's the guy of the future. Maybe he's not the tallest guy. But we know as Raider fans watching him for 2 years, the guy has potential. He has upside, right? He's explosive, but someone needs to just kind of put it together for Trey Tucker, right? Someone needs to put him in position. They need to utilize him well. And this might be the year where he actually kind of breaks out. You know, he also went from Jimmy G to Gardner Minshew and Aiden McConnell. Now he's going to Geno Smith, who can actually throw those deep routes. So hopefully Trey Tucker is able to put it together this year. And if he's going to, this will be the year for him, right? He gets to obviously pair up with quarterback like Geno Smith. And as Levi says, you know, he's been on a heater the last few reps. Jesse from the last tweet also said that Geno Smith has a really nice deep pass, a really nice deep ball, I should say. I'm excited, man, to see what the Raiders kind of do this season. You got some Ashton Jeanty plays here. Geno Smith is going to connect with Ashton Jeanty on a quick pass, showcasing Jeanty's pass-catching skills. To me, this looks like a side-adjusted route. So if you guys don't know what that means, basically what that means is this guy's going to be able to run a route depending on what the defense is essentially doing. Not 100% sure if that's exactly what this is, but it does look like it. Right, and I'm not sure if there's a coach over here telling him to go one or the other, but you can see he's going to essentially go right through the middle. He ends up going right on this one. But again, it's going to be an interesting season this season, right? Is a guy like Ashton Jeanty going to be able to showcase his pass catching abilities, or the Raiders going to get him the ball out in space, right? And I'm not talking about this type of stuff, right? Like, you know, being the guy that has a chip block and then, you know, potentially release. That's not the same as like, we're going to put this guy on like an angle route, or we're going to put this guy on some sort of specific route, right? Maybe it's some sort of, you know, wheel route, or maybe it's some sort of pick play with, you know, like a slot guy or something like that. But I do wonder, right? I do wonder, and I shall just back this up really quickly. The Raiders actually break. You can see the group of guys that are out there. So you see Jacoby right there as well. You got number 84, who is actually one of the Raiders' tight ends, Ismail Kadar, I think is how you say his name. And then you got Ashton Jeanty, you got Trey Tucker. So that's an interesting group of guys that are kind of out there. Trey Tucker might actually be on with the other group. He's actually not. So that's an interesting group right there, right? And I don't know if this is random, right? I'm going to assume it is, especially if the tight end Ismail's out there over a guy like Michael Mayer or Brock Bowers. Interesting nonetheless. Let's go ahead and switch focus. Let's get into this next play here. Ashton Jeanty putting in work at the Raiders OTAs. You guys can see him just kind of running drills. Keep in mind, this drill stuff actually happened earlier on in practice, and then the team stuff happened later on, right? But Ashton Jeanty looks really, really good, man. I think the Raiders are going to have themselves a really, really good running back room this year. It's going to be a productive unit specifically, right? You're going to get Ashton Jeanty. Obviously, we know what he is. But more than Ashton Jeanty, you have Raheem Mostert as well. And I think Mostert's one of those guys that, you know, you give him 50, 60 touches, you know, whether that's catches out of the backfield, screen plays, or maybe it's like a wheel route or whatever. Or if you just give him like 4 or 5 touches in a game, Mostert's one of those guys that can make plays, right? Make explosive plays specifically. And we saw that with the Dolphins. We saw that with the Niners. And hopefully, as he comes over to the Raiders, Chip Kelly's able to kind of get the most out of a guy like Mostert, right? And it's not just that. You know, even Zamir White. Some people are like, this guy looks a lot better. He looks a lot fitter. He looks a lot skinnier, right? That was kind of some of what we had heard. You can definitely see that, right? Number 3, Zamir here actually looks really, really, really fit's not the right word. He's always been fit, but like he looks skinnier than what he's looked like in the past, right? So we'll see what kind of ends up happening as we kind of go forward. Let's wrap this up, man. I want to just give you guys one final update, specifically on a video I did earlier today, which was the Christian Wilkins video. In that video, I talked about the fact that Christian Wilkins was not participating in OTAs. Although he was in the building, he was out there, he warmed up, he had the helmet off, and he was not actually running out there with guys, right? He was not out there doing the bag work that all these guys were doing. He wasn't in 11-on-11s. Pete Carroll actually was asked about it, and here's the quote. Carroll said, "This has been a difficult recovery. Wilkins has done everything he needs to do. He's been here every single day. He's here early working hard, but we're still working on it. And Christian Wilkins is not ready to get back out there. We're in the midst of a long, challenging process here. Fortunately, there's a lot of time. We're going to take every bit of it. We're trying to be really diligent. He's been on board the whole time, but it has been challenging." To me, that's not a great update. to have essentially come out. Now, I heard Pete Carroll talk a little bit about it, actually, like when he did the presser. It did not seem too bad, right? It kind of came off to me as like, hey, we know what this guy has to do. We already knew it was going to be a long, challenging process. There were going to be, different parts of this process, and we knew this was kind of what was going to happen. To me, it just seems like the Raiders kind of expected this and kind of expected that it could potentially go this way. And keep in mind, right, it wasn't guaranteed to go this way. Like, he could have healed after 4 months and been good to go month 5. But with some guys, a Jones fracture specifically, this can happen, right? And with Christian Wilkins, it just ended up happening this way. But I think it's one of those things where Pete Carroll understands we're still very, very early on in the process. And at some point, things should get better, right? And to me, the update is a good update because, yeah, things could absolutely get better. And I think that's what the Raiders got to just hope for, right? Hopefully Christian Wilkins is good to go. Some people have been saying that, hey, the Raiders have paid this guy so much money and we're just not getting the reward out of it. And that's the thing, right? Is when you sign a guy in like year 5 or year 6 and he's been an all-pro caliber player in those first 5 or 6 years, the thing is you're essentially paying this guy and paying him $30 million for what he's done in the past. You're paying him $30 million in the hopes that he continues doing that in the future. Oftentimes it doesn't work out, right? And that's just the fact about free agency. That is why free agency is not the right way to build. You got to build through the draft. Draft Jalen Carter instead of paying Christian Wilkins. Draft a guy like Olufashanu as opposed to, whatever else it is, right? Get those guys and kind of lock them in, right? And we'll see what ends up happening as we kind of go forward. I still have hope that Wilkins will be healthy at some point. And more than that, if he is healthy, he's going to be a superstar player, right? He's arguably the Raiders' best overall player. And I don't know why that's like a hot take or something, because I saw some people saying like that's a crazy statement to make. It's not that crazy. Christian Wilkins is paid $30 million for a year. He's one of the highest paid players in the NFL for a reason. He's one of the best players in the NFL. To me, again, that's not a crazy thing to say at all. Some people say Christian Wilkins is a better D tackle than Maxx Crosby is a better defensive end, right? I'm not saying I think that, but I'm just saying some people would actually say that. Us Raider fans, we value Maxx as a top 2 or 3 player at that position. Not every fan does. Some fans think guys like Rashawn Gary are better than Maxx Crosby. Some people think guys like Danielle Hunter are better than Maxx Crosby, right? There are fans that think Maxx Crosby is not a top 2 or 3 guy, and their guys are essentially better, right? And I say all that because Christian Wilkins is a damn good football player. Don't overlook that either. I know he didn't play a lot for the Raiders last year, but the tape he did put out there was freaking incredible. It was really, really impressive. So hopefully he's healthy. Let me know what you guys think, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time with another video.